Hello everyone, today I'll be reviewing Blade Runner. So Blade Runner came out in 1982 and was directed by Ridley Scott and stars Harrison Ford. So this is a science fiction film and it's set in the dystopian future in Los Angeles in the year 2019, and there were these robots who are known as replicas, which have been built by humans to carry out slave labour and do lots of tasks that humans don't want to do. What happens though is that these replicas start to get out of control and they become illegal. So essentially these people called Blade Runners have to hunt down these replicas and destroy them or retire them, as is the phrase used in the film. And the main character in this film is a Blade Runner called Deckard and is played by Harrison Ford, and he has to hunt down these replicas that have escaped and are on the loose. So we follow him throughout this film trying to track down these different replicas. Now, first of all, I'd like to say that this is possibly one of my favourite science fiction films, and it's actually a very unusual science fiction film because in some ways it is a fairly slow-paced film and it doesn't have an awful lot of action. So if you're expecting a science fiction film with loads of spaceships and lots of gunfire and, you know, lightsaber fights and stuff like that, like in Star Wars, then you might be disappointed because this is a very different kind of science fiction film. But it's one that I actually really appreciate, and yeah, I actually really enjoy this film. This film is incredibly dark, it's incredibly grimy. I think all of the film actually takes place at night, and whenever there's shots inside buildings, it's very darkly lit, and we get this beautiful futuristic music playing throughout the film. The music was done by Vangelis, and it really absolutely sounds fantastic. And I actually think that throughout this film, I don't think there are many or any moments where there isn't music playing in the background. It seems like there's music playing constantly in the background all the time. And I just think it works so well. And I actually watched this film wearing Bluetooth headphones, and I felt I could really appreciate the music a lot more while wearing the headphones than from the speakers on the TV. And I just found the music, I absolutely loved it. So we do get some excellent other actors in this film. We get Daryl Hannah in an early appearance as one of the replicas. She's very good, but the main sort of replica, or the main villain in this film, is played by Rutger Hauer. I think I'm saying that name correct, and he's very good because he's almost sort of the lead replica, although it's never really said that he's a lead replicant, but he's sort of in charge and he's the main villain in the film, and he puts on a very evil performance. You can really tell he is not a nice guy. But what this film does, it sort of makes us question who is human and who are the replicants, because the replicants, they do actually show quite a lot of emotion in this film in quite a few scenes, and quite a lot of the human characters are maybe not that interesting. So it really does leave us as the audience to decide, you know, who is good and who is bad and what exactly is going on here. Now this film has 3 different major cuts. So there's the theatrical cut, the director's cut, and the final cut. I have the final cut behind me, and that is supposed to be the best one. It's supposed to be Ridley Scott's perfect vision of the film. Now in the theatrical cut, it had a few things that the other cuts didn't. So it actually had a voiceover and narration from Harrison Ford talking about his role as a Blade Runner, and I've seen some clips of it, and it almost seems like a 1940s Humphrey Bogart type of voiceover, where like he's a detective and is talking to us about his job and what he has to do. And then we also, in the theatrical cut, we get a very different ending, which is a lot more light-hearted and happy than in the other cuts. Now, I have to say, having watched the final cut, I don't think that a voiceover would really work, because there isn't an awful lot of dialogue which is actually in this film. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I think having a voiceover would just seem very out of place in this film. And well, I'm not going to actually spoil what the ending of the film is if you haven't seen it, but I do think that the ending to the final cut is very good because it leaves some stuff maybe up for us to decide about how it's going to end, or it leaves questions hanging in a nice way. It leaves the ending up to interpretation, I suppose, whereas the ending in a theatrical cut is maybe a little too much cliche, a bit too predictable perhaps. But anyway, you can watch the different cuts if you like. I think probably the best one is definitely the final cut. I think it's absolutely terrific. I've actually seen this film a few times, and it's one of those films that I've liked more and more each time I've seen it. The first time I saw it I thought it was okay, but I didn't think it was brilliant. The second time I enjoyed it a lot more, and now this the third time I think I absolutely love it. I think it's possibly one of my favourite science fiction films. I'm not always a big sci-fi fan. I do like the Star Wars films, but I probably don't love them as much as lots of other people do. And this film, Blade Runner, has become such a cult film now. It's one of those films which has become so popular in years after its release, and actually when it came out it didn't do particularly well at the box office. It wasn't a very successful film, but now years later people appreciate it a lot more. And in fact there was a sequel, Blade Runner 2049, which came out I think 2017, and that also has Harrison Ford in as well as Ryan Gosling. And I've actually never seen that, but I will certainly check it out at some point. I think that Blade Runner is definitely a science fiction film worth seeing. I think even if you don't like science fiction films, I think you should definitely try seeing this because it's a unique film and it's not like any other science fiction film. It's a very beautiful film. It's a real work of art, really spectacular. We have some stunning cinematography in this film, and well, I think all the acting is brilliant, but really this is a very visual film as well. It just, everything looks beautiful, and I think it's amazing how well this film has aged, because at this point this film is 38 years old, and a lot of the special effects, they still look very good now. And yeah, so if you enjoy science fiction films, I definitely recommend checking this out. And I am actually going to give Blade Runner a rating of 10 out of 10 because I think it really deserves it. Before watching this a few days ago, I was thinking ahead. I was thinking, you know, how much do I like this film because I've seen it before, but I didn't think I'd give it a 10 out of 10. But after seeing it now, I definitely think it is worth that. So definitely check it out if you get the chance. So there we go. So that is my review of Blade Runner. So what do you guys think? Have you seen Blade Runner? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Please let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.